I mean, technology is technology, right? So today we're looking at a compact tabletop dishwasher. I don't know what it was about it, but something when they emailed me, I thought, you know what? I just think it looks kind of cool and I fancy having a play with it, right? I have a full-size dishwasher in here. I never use it because I live on my own, me and the cat. The missus stays over a couple of times a week. I don't have a lot of washing up, right? So when I finish eating, I just wash it up in the sink, dry it up and put it away. But I thought, you know what? This looks kind of fun. So let's give it a go anyway. It's literally as it sounds. It's a compact tabletop dishwasher. I think having had a little play around with it, the optimum position for this would be to be situated on your draining board beside your sink, because you have two options as far as plumbing goes. You can plumb it in permanently, and like you would do with a full-size one, both the water feed in and the drain out, or you can fill it from the top here using the supplied jug. It takes about 3 full jugs to fill it up. It gives you a nice little beep when it's full, and then you can just run the drain hose, which you probably won't be able to see, into your sink. So if you had this sat on your draining board, well, for me, I could actually just use my tap, come over the top of it and fill it up from the tap, because my tap's on a hose until it beeps. And then the drain hose would simply be out the back, you know, into this portion of my sink, ready to drain away. And that would be ideal. So obviously, if you're not washing stuff by hand, you don't really need your draining board available, do you? So I think that would be the perfect place to put this. But if not, it fits nicely on the countertop here. I've turned it at an angle, you know, to make it easier to video, but it would fit kind of flush against the wall is how I've had it sat here. And so far so good, it seems to work just fine. For the purposes of testing for the video, what we've got in here now is 2 large plates and a bowl, a couple of mugs and some cutlery. Now, one of the large plates has been left overnight for 24 hours since I had my main evening meal on it. The second plate has been left 12 hours and the bowl was done sort of a couple of hours ago. I just had some Greek yogurt and some fruit in there as an afternoon snack. So we've got 3 levels of sort of dirt to clean off, and the cutlery matches the crockery. So 24 hours worth of cutlery, you know, sitting there with the food drying on it, 12 hours or so, give or take, and then something that's a couple of spoons or a couple of hours. Oh, then we've got 1 mug there from this morning's cup of green tea and 1 from yesterday. So we'll let them all wash and see how they do. I'll give you a close-up walk around of it now, just so you can see the features in detail and see exactly how much space we have inside. They've got the instructions laid out on the top, which I find really handy. And if it didn't annoy you that those stickers were there, you could just leave them there as a reminder. But once you're used to it, you could take them off. But you can see where you fill it at the back there. You know, it's very quick and easy to remove that fill cap. And then pretty much as you come around the front, across the top of the door is all your touch screen buttons or touch sensitive buttons to choose your different modes. Normal, eco, quick, strong, glass, fruit, self-clean, dry, delayed mode, child lock, start, pause, and then power. They're all the buttons across the top. Once you're inside, you can see just how much space there is and how the little tray comes out. And one of the things you saw on the top was their recommended how to load the dishwasher layout. So where you would put your plates and cups and cutlery for optimum use of the space, because it is a compact dishwasher. As far as installing the hoses go, that's done on the back of the unit. There's simply the one to the left is the drain, and the one to the right that's threaded with the cap still on in this clip is the water inlet. Really, really simple to use. To be honest, I've got no reason to really like a dishwasher, but I think it's really quite cool. Don't ask me why, I just do. We get a decent manual that covers everything you need to know. I won't show you every page in the manual because you'll be here a little while, but it's quite thorough. And to be honest, there's not a whole lot to it. This is the fruit bowl I mentioned earlier. If you get fresh fruit from, say, a market or something that hasn't been washed, you can just put it in this bowl, sling it in there, and hit fruit mode, which is there, and it will give the fruit a rinse. Once the wash cycle is completed, it is dried as well, which is why it also has an independent drying mode. Maybe you've got things that you've somehow washed but haven't dried, or I don't know. I don't know why you want to dry stuff independently of washing it, but there is a dry mode should you have something wet that you want to put in there and dry. Aside from that, as I say, normal, eco, all the different modes basically vary the duration of the wash as best as I can tell. Oh, and the temperature on certain ones as well. So it's got everything really that you need. The only real limitations I can see to this versus a full-size one is simply the size. This is the hose supplied for plumbing it in on the inlet side, should you want to do that. As I said, that's the fruit bowl, and there's your little jug for filling. Now, they specify a maximum plate diameter of 26 centimetres or 260 mil. I don't have any plates that small. Mine are in there. Now let me grab another plate just to show you. As far as I'm concerned, this is like a normal size plate. I don't like, it measures 28 centimetres across, and I've just about managed to squeeze 2 of them in with a little bit of jiggery pokery. 26 centimetres, I would say, is unusually small for a plate, at least in my experience. But you can fit a couple in there, 28, and a bowl. There's room for more. I could probably squeeze another 2 of my plates in there if I needed to, or maybe another bowl, perhaps another cup. One thing you definitely can't put in here is things like saucepans, because they're obviously quite large and they have a handle on, and there simply isn't the depth or the width or the height to be able to fit saucepans in. I mean, you might be able to get one saucepan in there, but you certainly couldn't get it in there with much in the way of anything else. Cutlery, perhaps, because cutlery can be, laid down loose in the bottom. But as far as I'm concerned, this is really focusing on crockery and cutlery more than it is things like saucepans or frying pans or a wok. None of that's going to fit in here. But by testing, it washes just fine. But these, I've just used it like, every couple of days sort of thing. But the ones I've put in there specifically for the review, as I say, 24 hours, 12 hours, and a couple of hours. Now, it's actually partway through a cycle because I wanted to just pause it and then be able to unpause it and let you listen to how much noise it makes. So let's unpause it and you can have a little listen to how noisy it is or how not noisy it is. You can see the water splashing around inside, and when I took the video of the inside, you might have noticed there's like a blade at the bottom and a blade at the top. But yeah, have a listen. It's not... Actually reminds me a lot of what a washing machine sounds like, to be honest. So, neither particularly loud nor particularly quiet. Yeah, that's not too bad, is it? So let's just pause that again. So yeah, as far as I can say, it does exactly what it's advertised to do, which is just simply be a fully featured dishwasher, but in a small form factor. I think it looks quite tidy and presentable, and it's very easy to use. No overly convoluted menus to go through. It's like, do I want a normal wash? Do I want a quick wash? If I've got some real filthy stuff, they particularly mention like maybe pet food bowls. Perhaps if they haven't, like I've got a cat and her dry food bowl, I don't clean that often, probably once a month, because I just top it up with dry food as and when she needs it. Her wet food bowl gets washed immediately after she's eaten, but the dry one doesn't, and often, after a while, it's quite grubby in there. And I always think to myself, oh, Cole, you should have washed that sooner. So there's a strong mode, for things like that. Again, it's more about duration and temperature than anything else. I mean, it might be that it more aggressively circulates the water, because I haven't actually tried I haven't tried every single mode, because some of them are like 2.5 hours long, and obviously that's ridiculous. Plus, I don't have that much washing to do. So I'm gonna let this one finish, and then we'll come back once everything's been washed and dried and have a look and see just how clean these plates are. Because I think for a lot of people, if you've got a dishwasher, you're probably not the sort of person that washes things up immediately, because if you did, you'd just wash them in the sink. And also, you don't want to waste electricity or dishwasher detergent by putting the dishwasher on with just one plate in. So your crockery, cutlery, your cups and glasses are going to be left for at least a couple of days, perhaps, before you put a wash on, or at least until you've got enough items to fill this small dishwasher. So yeah, I'm gonna let this carry on, and I'll come back to you when we've got, hopefully, some nice clean crockery to look at. Right, so I'm back and the wash cycle has completed. The drying cycle was also completed. I can feel that because this is relatively warm, but I can tell you the plates and what have you inside are almost too hot to touch, right on the cusp of being able to touch them. So let's pull them out and see how everything is. Now, I stacked them in order of time. So this was the one that had been sat for 24 hours and looks pretty spotless to me. Feels clean as well, because you know, sometimes even if it was to look clean, because of the sort of design of the plate, it might hide some dirt, but it feels really smooth as well. In fact, it feels clean. You know how I think we're going to be fine, because that was 24, this is 12. Obviously this is fine as well. There's nothing on there. Everything feels and smells lovely and clean. And they're really, it's a shame you can't feel just how warm they are, because they really feel warm as well. And the bowl was what I had the yogurt in only a few hours or a couple of hours before I started the cycle. And yeah, that's all nice and clean. Pardon me as well. This was the green tea from this morning. That is completely spotless. And this is a bit of a curveball I threw in. This is the cup that my missus has coffee in, and that was already quite stained. And I was just curious whether it would remove any of the staining, but it hasn't. This was just done on a normal cycle, by the way. But yeah, that's you know how it is all the time, because it never gets washed thoroughly, I would say. The cutlery then, I'm expecting this. So the cutlery, you can put it kind of wherever it fits in this little cage, basically. There's just slots in the top there. And you just, once you put your other items in, you just put this in wherever it needs to be. I'm not expecting any issues here. No, everything's obviously completely spotless. The fork is usually where you might find some residue still, but no, it's all good. And of course the spoon, exactly the same. So it works as advertised. You've got this nice kind of lit up blue now that it's finished its cycle as well, which is quite cool. But yeah, if you need a small tabletop dishwasher that can either be plumbed in permanently or used like standalone, where you fill it at the top and just put your drain hose in the sink, I don't really see any reason not to recommend it. Price-wise, on their website, it was at $440. Currently, it's down to, I think, now what was it? something or another, 320, 330. But on Amazon right now, it's 210. So I'll put an Amazon link in the description. Should you want to pick one of these up, 210 quid. Sorry, the first two prices were euros, but the pound and the euro are almost identical at the minute. So yeah, it's 440 euros is normal retail, down to 3-something euros on the website, and on on Amazon, it's £210, which is probably about 216 euros. So yeah, there will be a link there. I really don't have any complaints. It does exactly, you know, what it says on the tin. Everything's come out, you know, spotlessly clean. You know, it drains just fine down into the sink. There's no like residue or dirt left inside the unit. It's just, I don't know, it just works. I'm kind of, and it's not that I'm shocked. I've just I don't use dishwashers. I'll just turn it round so you can see how it would look kind of if you had it neatly installed on your worktop. It would sit like that, so a lot more, you know, this is a normal depth worktop. In fact, let's get the tape measure. I can tell you exactly how deep it is. I can't remember. I think, is it 600 mil is normal? Yeah, 600 mil is normal depth of a worktop. So you've still got a reasonable amount of space in front. And as I say, if it were me, and you know, really suitable for that sort of 1 or 2 person household, a small flat or apartment or whatever, I would have this sat over here on my draining board, and that way I can fill it up easily and it can drain away. You know, you can have this drain hose, you can just have very neatly out the back and just into your sink. And you know, whenever you finish your meals, no washing up, you just open this up, put your bits and bobs in, close it up until you've got enough in there that you actually want to put a wash on. So as far as I'm concerned, it's a decent little tabletop dishwasher. I don't really have a point of reference, but for 210 quid or 216, 220 euros, whatever it might be in euros, I don't really see a reason not to recommend one. So as always, thank you very much for watching and take it easy.